Hello, these days I got this small radio receiver from the brand XHDATA model D-368 and I decided to look at it in a little more detail outside as well as inside, and I write this short review. Radio arrived from China to Macedonia in exactly 14 days from the day of the order, which is really very short time. It is packed in a small cardboard box containing the original packaging and it is good condition without any damage. At first glance, you can see that the radio is solidly made. It has a large whip antenna with length of 16 centimeters and support with the help of which the radio is placed at an angle of 45 degrees. On the front side there is a scale on which the frequencies for all bands are clearly marked. Under the scale there are two switches, one for the mode of operation, MP3, Bluetooth and radio, and other for selecting the bands. Above the scale there are buttons that serve to control the MP3 player. In the upper left side there is a 7-segment display that is an integral part of the MP3 player and a speaker is located below it. On the right side are tuning and volume knobs. And on the top there is an SD card slot, USB port, headphone output as well as C-type power port. Next, the device uses a standard 18650 lithium rechargeable battery with a capacity of 2000 mAh, which is also branded, which to some extent is a guarantee of its quality. First, let's test the radio on the FM band.
В 1970 година Led Zeppelin dobija zlatan sertifikat v Amerika za pesната.
Станете потенцијален добитник на некоја од овие вредни награди. Колку повеќе трансакции, толку повеќе шанси за добивка. Наградна игра верна секогаш. Црноти квешто. And it's a moment, yeah.
Që me thirr ambulancë se bën kyshe.
Ja të mersh.
Që mund mos ishte vetëm, por me shok.
Ова е вашиот викенд. Викенд на Радио 2.
Македонско радио, Радио 2.
The FM band radio works very solidly. However, unlike radios of the same class but with a digital display for the frequency, here the selection is a little more difficult and less precise. Allowed the stability of the selected frequency over a longer period of time during testing was excellent.
Le Paris, le Bichat et Adolphe Crémier. של הארגון אליאנס ישראלי.
Atacados, desveladas relaciones entre el PKK-IPG y el PK lidera نشر الثقافة على اختلاف أنواعها.
maxniintii cutubka labaad aayadaha 11 ilaa iyo 25 oo waaya
هم نمثلي ودو كمثلو تقدموا مرتب.
As for the shortwave bands, to my great surprise, with the built-in telescoping antenna, I received many broadcast stations during the day in the 11 to 16 MHz range, but unfortunately there is no SSB options for listening to amateur radio. When the mode switch is in the middle position, if we have inserted a micro SD card, the MP3 player is automatically activated, which is seen on the 7-segment display.
Play by TF card.
Also, instead of an SD card, we can use a USB drive to listen to MP3 music.
Play by USB drive.
If we don't have an SD card inserted, in the middle position of the mode switch, Bluetooth speaker is selected.
Bluetooth mode.
Now we need to connect the Bluetooth device with the smartphone without a password, and the audio content from the smartphone can be heard on the radio. A few words about the sound. I think it is quite enough for the purpose for which the device is intended, and it is clear without audible distortions up to 19% of the maximum, and it is noticeable that it reproduces the low frequencies quite well considering the dimensions of the speaker. And now let's look inside the radio under the plastic. First of all, my attention was drawn to this large 5 cm speaker, which, as I mentioned earlier, reproduces the lower frequencies perfectly, which is illogical for this type of device, Bluetooth speaker. On the main board, this is a heart of the device, the Skyworks radio chip SI4836A, which is broadcast mechanical tuning AM/FM shortwave radio receiver. In my previous videos, you can see several radio receivers made on the basis of the SI4732 chip from the same manufacturer with excellent characteristics. The next chip is the LM4863 and represents an audio power amplifier and stereo headphone amplifier on one chip to simplify audio system design. Its output power is 2.2 watts with distortions less than 1%. And this little chip is a Bluetooth audio receiver. This is a small multifunction display, 2 switches, volume control potentiometer, and the mechanical variable capacitor. A large ferrite core is placed under the base plate for good reception of middle wave and shortwave bands. And finally, a short conclusion. In my opinion, the radio is worth all the money you invested in the purchase. The only note of the whole device can be about the analog scale instead of digital dialing, but a large number of radio listeners appreciate such an analog scale because of the retro look, but also the possibility of faster and visual dialing of the stations. At the same time, the device presents an excellent Bluetooth speaker as well as an MP3 player. The positive side is the lithium rechargeable battery as well as the C-type connector, which is a basic standard these days. Just to emphasize that I purchased the device with my own funds, so I want to say that when testing the device there is no influence of any kind of sponsorship.